Hello everyone, my name is Bandy and I'm your Rusu Wealth Officer. For this episode of Let's Talk About Mental Health, I will be speaking about something a little bit more serious than I usually do, and that is to do with suicide. If I do just want to put out a big trigger warning. If you do find this subject to be quite triggering or upsetting, I really recommend to not watch this episode. However, if you do want to kind of stay on to know about the signs and symptoms of suicidal ideation and to know how to help your loved ones, so just continue watching. So I think this episode is obviously a lot more serious than my other ones, but I just think it's so important and so necessary to talk about because it is frankly not spoken about enough. So I think the structure of this kind of short episode is going to be kind of signs and symptoms, and then looking into ways of spotting that in someone, and also how to help someone who is feeling very suicidal and is in that crisis point, because I think it can be quite difficult when you are just a person in society and you know someone who is going through a lot, and sometimes it's really difficult to know what to say, or feeling like you don't want to say the wrong thing. So I hope this video gives a little bit more information on that. And I just want to put a disclaimer out there that I am by no means a mental health professional, but I did do psychology for 4 years, and I did work at a mental health hospital or a depression clinic, and all of the sources that I have got this information from is I will link down below, so you can kind of have a reference and look at the sources I've used. But yes, so suicidal thoughts, and I kind of did a little bit of research, and it's quite common to have it within especially young people. What I mean by young people, I define it as 16 to 25, that who are in the mental health care kind of systems or places. Suicidal thoughts are quite common in that age group and bracket, and kind of defining what suicidal feelings feel like. And I got this off from the Mind website, and I'm just going to read out a few of the. So it basically says how you might think or feel, and that is hopeless. There is no point of living, tearful, overwhelmed by negative thoughts, patterns, kind of feeling that there is like unbearable pain that you can't imagine that will just end anytime soon. Feeling quite useless, like not wanting or feeling needed by others, and also just feeling that feeling of desperation that you just can't get out of, and feeling quite numb, and having more potentially intrusive thoughts about death, and fantasizing about death, and what you may, this is what mine says, what you may actually experience also coinciding with those thoughts and feeling is urges to self-harm, kind of low self-esteem, self-loathing, a change in appetite, gaining weight or losing weight, and poor sleep is including waking up earlier than you kind of intended to. So suicide is one of the biggest killers in men under 50, which is just so astronomical. Like it's so high. So I think sometimes there's a lot of like mental health campaign videos. There's lots of mental health campaigns that talk about kind of opening up about your feelings about suicidal thoughts and behaviours to others, and then that's the next step of getting help. But sometimes on the other side of it, it's they're encouraging you to open up, which, you know, they should do. We should have a lot more of an open society and open culture around mental health. But on the flip side, if it's really difficult, if your friend or family member comes up to you saying like, look, I'm feeling really suicidal, like, you're sometimes like, I don't know what to do or what to say. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I trigger them even further or make them feel worse? And that's obviously no one's intentions. But what I find really useful to have in my back in my mind is this acronym called WAIT, and it's called Suicide Prevention Advice, and it's from the Mental Health Foundation, and I really like it. So it has 4 acronyms. The first one is to watch out for signs of distress and change in behaviour. So if you are a friend that's worried about a friend who, you know, who you haven't seen for a couple of months, who hasn't come out their room, kind of, you know, potentially there's weight fluctuation, they're not talking to you, they could be feeling suicidal or depressed. So, and then the A for ask is, are you having suicidal thoughts? So asking kind of point blank outright, and if they say yes, the I in the WAIT is saying it will pass. So assuring your loved one that with help their suicidal feelings will pass in time, because I think when you feel suicidal, you feel like this is a never-ending feeling, and that feeling of desperation, and you feeling like that, you know, suicide is the only way out. So they're, you know, in crisis mode. So kind of assuring your friend or family member that their suicidal feelings, their depressed feelings will pass in time, will help them. And also, like, if they are in crisis point, I highly recommend calling 999 if you're really worried about about your friend or loved one. But if they're saying that they are planning on killing themselves, I think it's really, really important to call 999. And also, but on the other side, if they're just feeling suicidal, I think it's really nice just to create a safety plan with them, to be like, okay, so who are you going to stay with that night, just to keep yourself safe? You know, you could be a part of that safety plan. And also afterwards, you've got to make sure that you're okay, and you're doing, as the person who's helped someone, you know, that's quite draining, and you know, that's quite emotionally like loaded situation. So you got to make sure afterwards that you're okay about it as well. And the T is pretty much what I kind of explained earlier, is talk to others. So encourage your loved one to seek help from a GP or professional of any sorts. So yes, so a little bit of a little bit more of a serious video, but I definitely think it's really important to talk about these issues. And I will link the WAIT acronym down below, or I will try to put it, like, I don't know how to put an image into a video, but I'll try to do that, or I'll just put it into the next bit for you to kind of look at. But yes, okay, so I will see you in the next episode.